Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a review here for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. From 1995, this movie says it's about an hour and 35 minutes, but if you take off the credits, it's really like an hour 25, hour 23, somewhere in there. So it's fairly quick for what it is, but it is painful. Now, for anybody who needs context, I am currently kind of working my way through Power Rangers again for the first time as an adult. I haven't really seen much Power Rangers aside from the many movies like Turbo, the 2017 film that I loved back when it first released on Blu-ray, which I've only seen one time for some reason. I loved it. It's been 8 years, man. Anyway, I have always been a fan of Power Rangers, at least the early stuff. I think for anybody, for context, the final one I think I ever saw much of was either Lightspeed Rescue or Wild Force, whichever one of those came last. I don't know. But I never really saw anything new outside of the 2017 movie. And I've wanted to come back to watch this movie in recent years. The last time I watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, was about 10 years ago, within a couple of years of the remake from 2017. And I hated it. And then I watched Turbo's movie, and I hated that shit too, even though I saw that one in theaters and loved it. When this one came out, I was about a year old, so I didn't get to see it in the theaters, I don't think. I wouldn't have understood what I was looking at. So, this movie has had a reputation for a long time of being pretty rough. There's a couple of good things I like about it, but we'll get to that. There's a lot of bad in this movie, which is sad to me. And this film came out apparently between Season 2 and Season 3, and Season 3, they almost have to retell and remake this movie on a lower budget to make it fit into the show, because apparently this movie, and I didn't know this until I recently saw Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3 for the first time ever, I didn't realize that, that this was in its own continuity, this movie. It doesn't really tie into the show, even though all the same actors from Season 2's later half and all of Season 3 are in here. For example, you have Rocky instead of Jason, you have Aisha instead of Trini, you have Johnny Young Bosch, I still don't know the name, instead of Zach, Adam instead of Zach. The movie itself is very thin on plot, because let's make it very clear here, this is a kid's film, and that's fine, I'm cool with that. Kids' movies need to be for kids. I don't care if it's super intellectual or treats them like they're smart or dumb. It doesn't matter. And frankly, to the kids, including myself once upon a time, it doesn't matter, because I loved this as a kid. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that I'm going to go ahead and get into once I talk about the plot. But man, is it rough. By the way, I had this on VHS tape my entire life. I cannot find that VHS tape. I'm a big physical media guy, as many of you know if you've seen my collection from other videos, or in the past on this channel or other channels I do, if you're familiar with those. I have a lot of VHS tapes, not a ton, but I have quite a few for a modern-day human being in America at the age of 30. But I cannot find my fucking VHS tape. So I gave in. I tried to find a Blu-ray. The Blu-ray recently went out of print in like the last couple of months, and it has jumped to $90 used on eBay. And like hundreds on Amazon. Can you believe that? That's crazy. This piece of shit movie is going almost $100 used on the internet because it's fucking Blu-ray. So instead, I bought the $6 DVD, which was probably the better case, because the film managed to keep the film grain in it, and I frankly didn't think it looked that bad, aside from the obvious problems that were already there with the movie. But I thought visually it looked good as a DVD, to be honest with you, and I don't mind DVDs. So anyway, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers basically is about Angel Grove having a construction site where some construction workers actually dig up this purple egg. And the egg cracks open when Zed and Rita show up with Goldar, and they open this thing up with their magic abilities, and essentially we release a very Freddy Krueger looking and acting villain named Ivan Ooze. The guy playing him is chewing up every bit of scenery he's in. I love him. He's great in here. But he becomes the newest threat to Zordon and the Power Rangers, and we find out in an opening crawl to the movie that's basically riffing on Star Wars with letters going into space in the dark that Zordon is a interdimensional being, whatever the fuck that means. I didn't know that. I don't really understand how Zordon's powers work, but let me tell you, there's a new actor playing Zordon in this movie, and he creeps me out. He looks like fucking Casper if Casper was an old man with deep forehead crinkles and no ears. He looks like somebody cut his fucking ears off in like the Midwestern times of the 1800s. He's terrifying. No wonder I didn't like this movie that much as a kid, despite having seen it so many times. For some reason, I guess I would want my Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fix. Didn't feel like bringing out the old VHS tapes I had of the show. And I would watch this a lot, despite not liking everything outside of the 30 minutes of the beginning. And maybe a little bit at the end. But Ivan Ooze basically defeats the Power Rangers, and then he goes to, this being a film, it's way higher budget, by the way, than the average low-budget Power Rangers episode, so they have a lot more to work with. For example, they rebuild the command center to look super wide. It's not like a black curtain with stars in the background and stuff, like the show has. It's like an actual sci-fi looking room with plasma tubes and shit. But Zordon looks completely different. He doesn't have the blurred mouth and stuff. Ivan Ooze shows up and destroys everything. He attacks Alpha, which, by the way, the new costumes for the Power Rangers have changed. Zed's outfit changed. Goldar's armor is different, which brings me back to Alpha 5. What the fuck did they do to Alpha 5's armor? What did they do? He looks awful in this show. He's not just some really thick chick with a bunch of pieces of armor put over her black spandex outfit like in the show, and Alpha was thick, man. It's not like that. It's like the goofiest looking Alpha 5 movie costume ever. I hate it. It's awful looking. That was the first thing out of my mouth was what the fuck when I saw Alpha 5. But anyway, Ivan Ooze destroys the command center, does some kind of weird corruption thing with Alpha, because his abilities are, like his name, to ooze everywhere. He can turn into basically purple jelly, and that's it. That's what he does. And he destroys the command center, attacks Zordon, basically destroys whatever Zordon can do, and it turns out what Zordon is, when you're watching the show, and this ruined the show for me for a long time as a teenager when I rewatched this many, many years ago, like 20 years ago. What really ruined this for me was the fact that Zordon apparently is just like a guy in like a blanket, like you would swaddle your baby, your newborn baby in a blanket after they come home from the hospital. He's just like laying in a bed of crystals, and that tube thing we always see Zordon talking through is just a projection. And like when he's looking down at the Power Rangers, it's not like a telephone conversation. It's like there is a guy laying in a fucking plasma tube in front of you, like a baby. We don't know if he has legs and stuff. Just a glittery blanket thrown upon him. I'm assuming it's because he's old. He's too old to sit up. But like that didn't stop Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker. I'm just saying. He had a chair that moved him all over the room and everything. So Zordon, what the hell? You have all these supernatural abilities and you can't get somebody to like let you move around a little bit. There's a thing, a magical thing out there that's called a power nowadays, called a wheelchair that he could have used. Professor fucking X had one, for God's sake, and he's bald too. Anyway, Zordon creeps me out, and he's about to die. For some reason, I don't really understand why, but he's about to die, and where he is on his, because he can't move, deathbed, the Power Rangers have lost their ability to morph, and so they have to just stop. And they're kind of hunting down Ivan Ooze, but they also have to go to like Zordon's like home planet or something. I don't know. It's a bunch of gobbledygook that I don't understand what we're even doing at this point. I said it's easier to keep movies like this simple for kids. It's fine to treat kids like they're dumb with movies. That's okay. But this is a little too dumb. Like there's a lot of things that I don't follow. Like for example, why does Zordon look like a creepy ass grown up Casper, but we go to his home planet or whatever, and we meet like the finest chick ever wearing like the 2017 Rita Repulsa costume. She's fine, man. Anyway, she leads the Power Rangers into having ninja outfits, which of course for many people like myself, season 3 is probably the worst after this Power Ranger season in the Mighty Morphin era. I love season 1. even though it's repetitive. Season 2 is repetitive too, and they had the whole cast change up and stuff that led into this movie. But that's okay. I like the new cast okay. But it's season 3 with the ninja shit that I hate. I just don't like the ninja costumes, man. Season 3 has a lot of problems outside of the ninja costumes, but that was a big problem with that one. These costumes don't just have like eye holes cut in like a fucking Charlie Brown Halloween costume. They're not even like that. They're just like a a Middle Eastern Muslim woman outfit for all of them in different colors, which how pretty, So these ninja costumes, every time I ever saw this part of the movie as a kid, I fast forwarded so quick because I just didn't care. On that VHS tape, this is probably the most proportionate or pretty visually okay leftover of the tape because of how much I skimmed through it to get to all the stuff that I liked. Not the good stuff. I almost slipped up and said the good stuff. The stuff that I liked in the first 30 minutes before we go to the Zordon planet, and then the last 10-15 minutes of the movie with the Megazord stuff. But since they can't morph, they also lost their Zords, but they can space travel, which is strange. Now, I want to backtrack just a little bit about the Power Rangers costumes before the ninja costumes. They have new costumes for this movie, which originally was going to have a clear visor and a clear mouthpiece for the helmets, and they apparently filmed all of the action scenes and Megazord scenes with those helmets and had to go back and reshoot it because the director of the film was an idiot. And apparently, Bulk and Skull, who are barely in this film, thank God, even though I like them, I don't always love them. They can get on my nerves too often. They're barely in this at all, because apparently those two had to take over directing duties for the movie. From what I'm hearing, I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard online, and I'm pretty sure that's true, because it makes sense. Which is crazy if they had the experience enough to do that. But not like the director, Brian, whatever his name is, actually had experience. It was clearly a Nepo baby thing from what I hear. He was somebody famous as kid, like Elvis's wife Priscilla's kid that wasn't Elvis's kid. Something like that, I think, is what I heard. I don't remember. But anyway, the Power Rangers costumes for this movie, before they lose their powers and after they get them back later on, they are more like armor, right? And they got rid of the clear visors that they originally were going to have. They made them the traditional looking helmets, even though the Pink Ranger's helmet does not look right. There's something about it that rubs me the wrong way. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, it looks like the Giga Chad meme, like the big ass chin. That's what her head looks like. I don't know why, but it does. But like I said, all the other costumes look like armor, and they look good. Their helmets look more traditional than the Pink Ranger's does. Tommy's dragon chest vest, whatever it is, looks good. I like it. I think that for the majority of the film, their costumes look pretty cool. One thing they changed up for the movie that I never noticed for some reason, even though the movie's toys had this and the ones from the show didn't, they have, their power coins are in their chest on the costumes. Whereas the original show of Mighty Morphin, they didn't have that. They just had, a diamond, and I never noticed that for some reason. But it's kind of cool. I kind of like the armor look to these. That was the best part of the movie for me growing up. Now when I watch it, there's two good things. There's that, and there's the soundtrack and score. The score is very John Williams-esque. I don't think he made it, but, it's a very cool score and a very good soundtrack that has things like Van Halen, some, new covers of some old songs that are pretty good. I love it. I think it's got a great soundtrack, man. The costumes really make that fun. They should not have lost their fucking powers. Say what you will, it should have been an adventure to save Zordon on another planet, Zordon's home planet, whatever, to have that alien feel in the jungle. That's what it should have been. It should have been nothing more than that, not losing your powers or anything like that. Which makes me wonder, are their powers entirely granted by Zordon? Does he have to be involved for the power coins to work? Because I was under the impression with Mighty Morphin's show and Ninjor, when he's introduced for Season 3, and the ninja powers and stuff, that all their power came from the power coins. I thought. So I guess I'm wrong about that. I don't know. It's Power Rangers. It doesn't have to make sense. It's a goofy kids action show. But with that being said, the fights are so much better in here than what I saw in Zeo, which, by the way, I finished up Zeo. I'm about to review that after this video for you all. But the fights are so much better than what happened in Season 3, when they start to show a lot more American footage with the Americans wearing the costumes. Season 3 of Mighty Morphin was kind of rough after this, to me, but the choreography for the fights are really cool in this film. I think they look really good the way they're shot, whether it be Bulk and Skull's directing or the original director, I don't know. But the fights look good. I like it. There's a lot of wire work, which isn't as good to me as what they do with the TV show, just having acrobats jump really fucking high. But it's cool, you know, I'm fine with that. But getting back to the ninja costumes, they look like shit, and I don't like them. Even though I heard that these armored, regular Mighty Morphin suits are really uncomfortable, according to Jason David Frank and Johnny Young Bosch. Bosk? Who fucking cares? I care, because I love Adam and I love that actor. So who am I kidding? They said it was very, very uncomfortable to wear, apparently, in, like, con convention things and interviews. So I get that, but you made millions for this, probably. So let's be real, man. Now, with that being said, the acting is awful in this movie. It really, really is. The acting is tremendously bad. Tommy, specifically, this is a great example of the show when it became the Tommy show from, like, the end of Season 1 and the entirety of Season 2 and 3, and then Zeo, and then Turbo for a little bit. This is a great example of the movie that put the Red Ranger and Rocky, specifically in this case, since it's not Jason anymore, completely in the background, to the point where, like, even at the end of the film when they're watching fireworks, Rocky is, like, at the very end of the picture, and they almost block him in the image that's being shot for the end of the movie by, like, some rando extra. Like, what the fuck? What did Steve Cardenas, or whatever his name is that plays Rocky, what the fuck did he do to all of you that you just hate his guts? Not us as the fans. I understand when fans like or don't like an actor, that's fine. But in the film itself, in the show itself, what did he do to make these people mad and not want to put him up front at all? I like him a lot. I think he's pretty cool, and I'm kind of bummed to see what they do with him here. But, I guess moving back to the events of the film, they get their powers back, and that's pretty much it. They go back to Angel Grove, they fight Ivan Ooze, 2 Megazords that he had, parents that he brainwashed in Angel Grove with his oozy, goofy shit that he sold their kids. The parents are brainwashed, he forces them to dig up at the construction site his Megazords, basically, which are like, I guess, a praying mantis and something else. I forgot the other thing. Wasn't it like some kind of fucking centipede spider thing? I don't remember. Who cares? I just finished the movie and I don't even remember. That should tell you everything you need to know. But yeah, Ivan has 2 Megazord-looking monster things that are entirely made by CGI. And it's the shitty CGI. It's not like good CGI like Jurassic Park. It's not like a physical, practical toy like the original show used, which I still think would have saved this a lot. It's not a man in a rubber suit, which I think would have saved this movie a lot. No, it's like, it's just CGI. And then when the Megazord comes together after the Rangers get their powers back and travel back to Earth, the Megazord is the Ninja Zord, basically, from Season 3, but without a face. It looks awful. Not only the CGI looks bad, but the design here looks bad. It's like they tried to take what they knew would be the footage of Season 3 when they had to remake this movie as a ninja storyline. And they saw the Megazord that they were going to have to use for that footage, and it's like America wanted to try to top that. And dude, that CGI and that design in general, again, with this one, it doesn't even have a face. It's awful. It's fucking terrible. I hate it. It just shows how a lot of Americans, especially at the time in the 90s when this was becoming popular as a franchise here, it shows how adults do not understand what kids loved about Power Rangers, nor what audiences in general, even adults who liked Power Rangers, like my dad. He wasn't into it, but he liked the fights and stuff. They do not get it. Even though the film has good fights, when it comes to something like the Megazords and that kind of 90s Gundam fuel that was happening in society because of things like Gundam, with giant robots fighting and shit, they clearly did not understand that, and did not understand what people like myself loved about it, and everybody my age that was a boy loved about it. The Megazord looks like shit, and it is a lot because of the CGI. You know? Before they even bond all of the Zords together to make the new Megazord that they have here, they're showing like cockpit shots of them. The cockpits look cool until they pasted over like a toy flying through a fake city that they made for a practical effect. Those cockpit shots, when they're like outside, specifically the Pink Ranger, they look awful, man. They look so bad. So bad. The movie, to be as big budget as it was and to be as big of a deal as it was when it came out years ago, it is amazing to me how poor this movie is in so many ways. Now, I remember Turbo being way worse than this when I tried to rewatch that about 7 years ago, I think, around the time the 2017 movie happened. But I got on my nostalgia kick and I rewatched that, and I still think I hate Turbo more than this. I don't know. I know the show is supposed to be bad for the first season, but I've never seen the show ever, so I can't vouch for that one way or another. But at least this movie had a great soundtrack to kind of save it a little bit, and it had great Power Rangers costumes when they're there. But again, all the stuff with Zordon, the look of Alpha 5, all of that stuff ruins this so much. But at least Ivan Ooze is a great, fun character here. They redid Goldar's face, by the way, and he looks like shit. His armor I talked about being redone. The face, the animatronic blue face they made, looks like shit. It's a mess, dude. But anyway, I don't really have much more to say about the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. It is truly bad in a lot of ways. For a show that's not like the most high quality thing ever, it was immensely entertaining. It had so many things that it got right. And this movie, does not get it right at all. I don't know what's worse, this movie or like season 3's Ninja dedicated episodes, because of how much I hate those costumes. Because mind you, season 3 also turns into the Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, which is, again, beautiful costumes, but fucking horrible for that 10 episode miniseries leading into Zeo. I fucking hate the Alien Rangers. I hate them. Even though I love the costumes, I hate them. They get on my nerves. I don't know what's worse, season 3 or this movie. Let me know what you think about that debate down below. But with all that being said, I don't have anything else to say about this movie. It's a mess in every way possible, and again, the performances are just shockingly bad. More so, in my opinion, for people like Tommy, Jason David Frank, than it was in the show. Which is sad, because Tommy was always a badass before this movie came out to people like me who grew up on this franchise, series, whatever. But anyway, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, the movie that I watch like once every 10 years at this point, if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I would give it like maybe a 2 out of 5. Probably about a 2 out of 5. It's just barely not a 1, because of the Freddy Krueger-like villain and some of the stuff that I want to appreciate more. But anyway, what do you think about the movie? Did you see it when it hit theaters back in the day? Do you think this is better than the entirety of Mighty Morphin, the show? I'd love to hear that down below, too. Every once in a while, I come across that opinion. Around 2017, I did at least. I don't know about now. But which one do you like more, the show or this? Which one do you especially like more, this or season 3? I would love to hear what you all have to say about that, because shit, man. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. I appreciate all the support the channel's been getting on the Power Rangers reviews. That Mighty Morphin series review, I think, is at like 300 views or something like that, which is crazy. I did not expect it to do that well, matter of fact. It seems like even for a comic channel, that the shows and movies I review that are more in this kind of genre of what all of us like, it seems like those do way better when it comes to views and engagement than the comic reviews, which is wild to me. I'm still going to do comic reviews a lot of the time, but it seems like that stuff just generally does not get a lot of popular views and whatever, unless it's something like Berserk or Dragon Ball, and that's about it, Die Dark doesn't even do that well, so it's kind of a shame, man, but still, I kind of get it. I don't really watch many comic reviews out there because it feels like if you're reviewing volume 1 of a series, you're kind of just getting a portion of an overarching story. It's like reviewing the first half of a novel, you know? It's kind of a little uneven. Maybe I should change that up. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. So let me know what you think about that down below too. But yeah, these Power Ranger reviews seems to be doing fairly well with you all, and I want to thank you for all the views and discussions and the comments with me and stuff. God bless you guys. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon on a review for Zeo. Catch you later. Again, goodbye.